Welcome to the Grief Relief Show with mother-daughter team doctors Gloria and Heidi Horsley, brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. Today we'll be talking about pregnancy loss and infertility. As soon as you see those two tiny pink lines on a home pregnancy test, your mind jumps into overdrive. You picture PTA meetings, father-daughter dances, baseball games, and tickle fights, and endless laughter. Your new reality is everything you wanted, until it isn't. A miscarriage rips out your heart in the most devastating way. It shatters your hopes, your dreams, and sometimes even your will to try again. And that struggle can weigh even heavier for the 1 out of every 4 couples who are trying to conceive but are diagnosed with infertility. As the realization that you may never have children of your own sinks in, your reality can become an unrecognizable battle with depression. And now, here's Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi.
Welcome to our show today. Wow, we've really got a pretty tough show today, don't we, Heidi, on infertility and pregnancy loss?
We do, and I'm so glad that we're doing this. This is so near and dear to my heart. As you know, I've had 2 miscarriages, and we will be talking a lot about it because it is such an unacknowledged loss.
It really is. It's one that people really don't want to talk about and deal with. And I know, you know, after you've once said, well, I had a miscarriage or whatever, then it just kind of gets dropped, don't you think?
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of times people don't even know you've had one. So, you know, you go around and you've had, and you know, when you have a miscarriage, not only are you losing your pregnancy, but you're losing the future that you imagined and the future that you thought you were going to have.
And you know, it's not just for the person who has the miscarriage either. Men are unacknowledged and relatives are unacknowledged. Parents are expecting to have that new baby when their loved one tells them that they're going to have a child or whatever, and then the miscarriage and the sadness around that.
Yeah, well, Mom, I've got to tell you, and I don't know if I've said this before, but when I had my first miscarriage, I sent you a fax. You were in London on a trip, and I sent you a fax, and you called me crying. And you said, Heidi, I'm so sad because I feel like I've lost the grandchild I thought I was going to have.
Wow, I even forgot about that, but it really touches my heart when you talk about it. And you know, our kids are so important and grandkids to us. Well, we've got some wonderful guests today that are coming on to talk about pregnancy, loss, and infertility. And we're so grateful for them for coming in and sharing their stories and what they're doing. And the first person we're going to have is Chandrama Anderson, and she's written a book, and we'll be talking about that. So let's get started, and we've got our first guest right here. Hi, it's great to have you on.
Hi, Chandrama. It's so nice to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No Turn on Mercy Street. It's a great book. And talk a little bit about your book.
Well, my book is about my daughter, Callie, who died. She had trisomy 13, which is a chromosome abnormality that was fatal. And I kept a journal since I was 10. And I kept a journal including all of my experience dealing with my loss with her. And about 5 years into it, I thought maybe I'll write a book someday. And it took me 5 more years to get around to writing the book.
Wow. And you've had, miscarriages also, right?
Right. So I've been pregnant 7 times. I have 1 child. He's a teenager.
Wow. That's a lot, huh, Heidi?
You know, I just finished reading Chandrama's book, and it was so riveting. And it was hard for me to wrap my arms around the fact that she had been pregnant 7 times in 6 years and miscarried and lost all these pregnancies because it was so much. And I think it speaks to the fact that we as women, we do really want to have these babies and get pregnant. And my heart went out to you so much because I felt your pain and I lived your pain. And it also normalized a lot of what I had been going through, reading about your own experience. And the ups and downs and highs and lows of getting pregnant and thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be the pregnancy that I carry all the way through, and then all of a sudden, you know, you go through this emotional roller coaster and lose the pregnancy.
Yeah. Now you're working with couples that are, you know, have had some of these issues and some of your issues. Can you talk a little bit for our audience out there who've had pregnancy loss about what you see for them and how they can deal with it?
Well, one of the things I think is really important to understand is that the man and the woman will react differently to the loss. The woman's body changed, the hormones are going crazy. Their level of desire to have children prior to getting pregnant might have been different too. And so she has the physical loss as well as all of the other losses of the future and things. For the man, he's dealing with a wife whose hormones are all bouncing all over the place, and he's dealing with his own loss, and it's different. So part of what I try to help couples understand is that it's okay for them to grieve differently, and that there can be very emotional grieving, but there can be very instrumental grieving or active grieving. And
now, you had a number of pregnancy losses. How do you decide, and how do you help people think about when they should stop, and what happens when the husband and wives don't agree?
Those are some tough questions. I think they're very, very personal. I think some people maybe decide, you know, we're going to try until, they pick a point, and they say we're going to try until here. I know for myself, the choice was, you know, wait until I'm 40 and we'll keep trying.
And 40 was kind of your mark too,
It was.
right, Heidi?
Absolutely. I really wanted to wait, you know, keep going until I was 40, and then at 40 I thought, you know what, I've been doing this many years, and I'm going to think of another alternative. Yeah.
Right. I think it's pretty common for men and women, for the husband and wife, to have different desire for how long they will try. I think people just have to learn and talk about it and keep talking about it and take it day by day. I mean, if you read my book, there are days when I was like, there's no way, I'm never ever going to try this again. And then there were days of course I will. And so I know that the couples are going through that. I know one of the worst things for the husband is to see his wife cry.
I was just going to say that. For me, my husband really wanted me to stop because he couldn't handle seeing me in pain physically and emotionally.
Right.
And he felt like he wanted to fix it, and he wanted to do something to make it better, and he knew he really couldn't.
Right.
Because what I wanted was a baby.
Right.
So I think it was really hard for him. So he'd always say, well, you sure we should keep trying? Well, you sure we should keep doing this, you know? Because he just didn't want to see me like that.
Right, and so it's really important to understand, is he wanting to stop because he's having a hard time seeing you struggle, or is he really ready to stop? So that's an important clarification.
Now, do you have any special tips for couples, things that they can do to get them through this?
Well, I think that it's really important to remember that you're a couple first, and to still do things as a couple. Sex tends to become about procreation and stops being for pleasure and fun and for taking care of each other and just playful. So I'd recommend that people make sure that they focus on that. I think also it's really important to talk about the miscarriages and talk to other people. That some people are very private and they want to hold it very close to themselves, but not talking about it and not acknowledging it, I think, is very hard on people. I think also just allowing each other to grieve differently is so important, and not to think, oh, he's grieving wrong or she's grieving wrong. You're just grieving.
Wow. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the show, and I highly recommend that people get your book. And if they're in the Palo Alto area, you've got your couples counseling program that is a fabulous program for them to get into. So good luck in everything that you're doing, and thanks a lot for being on the show.
This has been the Grief Relief Show, hosted by mother-daughter team Drs. Gloria and Heidi Horsley. This show has been brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation, helping people find hope after loss. Be sure to visit opentohope.com, where you can listen to radio programs, watch Open to Hope TV, read articles, and view books. You can also join Dr. Gloria and Dr. Heidi on Twitter and Facebook, and put your events on their international calendar. Thanks for watching, and remember, others have been there and made it. You can too.